What is up, guys? Welcome back to CageChat MMA. We are here for, of course, the first UFC FIght Island event of the year. We are here at UFC FIght Island 7, Maz Holloway versus Calvin Kattar. We are back for 2021 after a 3-week absence, and boy, have we missed it. It's been a long 3 weeks. Quite a bit's happened. Obviously, McGregor's fighting in a couple of weeks, or in a week even. It's not even. It'll be here in 7 days now, which is phenomenal. But we're here for the featherweight division, of course. Maz Holloway versus Calvin Kattar, and you know what? This could have a sign to fight of the year on it already. I know it's the first one of the year, but these two are going to go at it for 5 rounds, I believe. Both of them have shown that they've got amazing gas tanks now. Both, you see Calvin Kattar going around with Dan Ige. He's been on a tremendous tear up. Even that fight against Zabit Magomedsharipov, of course, he lost that by decision, but it was a 3-round fight, and had it been 5 rounds, he probably would have and should have won that fight because he was taken over in that 3rd round. But unfortunately, he ran out of time. But of course, he had a phenomenal 2020, going out 2-2. Of course, after beating Dan Ige, and of course Jeremy Stephens with that vicious knockout from his elbow at UFC 249 back in April, of course. So yes, he's on a bit of a tear up, and he's someone who's on the hunt for that title shot. Obviously, the former champion Maz Holloway had his shot in 2020, of course, and wasn't quite as successful, although many people thought he'd beat Volkanovski in that rematch, of course. But I think these two, but as I mentioned, both of them have got amazing gas tanks. Both of them don't back down, and both of them have an amazing punch and amazing knockout power as well. Albeit many of those fights go to the decision. I think these will give us a full 5-rounder, and it's interesting to see one. We've got fans back for the first time with 2,000 people in the Etihad Arena, I believe it's called, at least in Abu Dhabi. So I think this one, it's perfect to kick off the year with. Obviously, 2020 we had that little stop gap in between March and May, of course, but we went back to back pretty much every week from then on. So having that little 3-week break was nice to refresh, of course. But we are back, and I'm buzzing for this one. You know, as we mentioned, Maz Holloway, I do worry for the lad. He's coming in on for the first time in his career, 2 losses back to back. Of course, he's lost 3 out of his last 5, albeit that loss was, of course, to Dustin Poirier. So it's a bit of a skewed one there at that for that interim lightweight title. But he has lost to Volkanovski twice on the official sort of record. Whether or not you believe he lost either of those fights, that obviously that last one with Volkanovski was a split decision, of course, and he lost by decision when he lost that belt. But he's taken a hell of a lot of damage in those fights. I haven't. I should have checked beforehand, but he's going the full 5 rounds of those. Other than Brian Ortega, which was a 4th-round stoppage, he's gone pretty much the decision in all of his last 5 fights. And he's taken a lot of damage. He's not been knocked out. He's not been finished. He's got a couple of wins against Frankie Edgar, and of course Brian Ortega. But he got beat up pretty badly against Dustin Poirier. He got his leg chewed up with Volkanovski in both fights. And I feel he's still only 30 years old, and I don't want to see him starting to tail off. He's still very young. He's still very talented, and he's still at the top of that featherweight division, as was checked the ranking very soon. But since that Khabib fight that he was going to have, obviously he took that on very short notice within 24 hours, I believe, or at least 48 hours. He tried to make the weight, add some problem to that. He's not been the same since. He's had a little, few hiccups here and there. Before that Brown Ortega stoppage, before that Khabib fight was even, tempted, he finished ground and pound. He was on back-to-back finishes, or back-to-back finishes, should I say, with 2 finishes over Jose Aldo and Anthony Pettis. But he's not had a finish since 2018 now, and it'd be interesting to see if he can get one tonight. I don't think he will, because again, I think Calvin Kattar's got a good chin on him. He's he's Boston tough, and he's got that boxing pedigree to be able to stand toe to toe with Maz Holloway. It depends on how much Maz Holloway maybe uses his wrestling or uses the kicks and uses his frame, because he is a couple inches taller. And we will have a quick look at the data tape, of course. You see 21-6 versus 22-4. Obviously, you've got 5'11", both of them same height, but obviously Maz Holloway has got identical reach as well. He's got 2-inch leg reach advantage as well, so you'd be expecting him to be using that a bit more in his game plan tonight. Maybe standing outside of the octagon outside of that second octagon marking and maybe picking off Kattar, whereas Kattar might be looking to come in and really piece him up. He's got that elbow, as we've seen, as Jeremy Stevens felt as well. But yeah, it's interesting to see. Obviously, we'll have a look at the featherweight rankings right now. Of course, you've got Volkanovski facing Brian Ortega. That is just broken by Helwani, of course. That's taking place at UFC 260. Zabit Magomedsharipov should be fighting Yair Rodriguez, who is obviously suspended until at least April. I think April, May time. You've got Korean Zombie, who's coming off a loss to Brian Ortega. So yeah, a win between Max Holloway and Calvin Kattar would probably set them up for a title bout. Or at least maybe if Calvin Kattar gets a solid win here and maybe a quick finish, you stepping back in there with Magomedsharipov, make it 5 rounds and let's see who the best man is. But Calvin Kattar, looking at is making his last 5 fights, his record is starting to build up quite phenomenally. And if he's not on pay-per-view, he's main event in the fight nights themselves. But yes, obviously got Josh Emmett to return. You've got Jeremy Stevens still in the mix, and Sodiq Yusuff and Arnold Adam round at the top 10 as well. But the featherweight division is bubbling away at the surface, and if Brian Ortega beats Volkanovski, then both Max Holloway and Calvin Kattar have a very good shout for a next opportunity, especially Holloway since he's already beaten Ortega in the past. Now, personally, for me, I'd like to see, no matter what happens tonight, Holloway takes some time out. He's fighting consistently every 5-6 months at least. It'd be nice to see him take some time off, maybe build up a bit of muscle, because he does drain himself going out to 145. I think, but maybe follow John Jones where he takes a year or two off, puts some muscle on, and comes back at lightweight because he has got the frame for it. He just didn't have the size for it, as I saw against Dustin Poirier. And only being 30, he's still got plenty of time to be able to take a year out in his career and build that muscle if he so wishes to. Now the prelims are kicking off in about 5 minutes actually. It's an early card tonight. Obviously, UK fans were used to staying up till 3 a.m. It's nice to finally have a card early in the afternoon, early evening time, ish 8 p.m. kickoff or start time for the main card, of course. Now, also on the main card, we've got a veterans fight, I guess. One for the ages is Carlos Condit versus Matt Brown, and both of these two legends are going at it in the octagon tonight in the co-main event, of course. Taking a look at their record, actually 31-13 against 22-17, both 6-2, but obviously both in that welterweight division. Half an inch reach advantage there for Carlos Condit, and an inch advantage there for Carlos Condit also. But these ones are for the not the casual, the pedigree of the UFC fans, those who have been there for the last decade, 15 years. Personally, myself, I've not seen the best of their careers. Obviously, Court McGee was the last win for Carlos Condit, and he looked good in that fight. But obviously, before that, he was on a 5-fight loss streak. With his only win against Thiago Alves before that, and then obviously losing to Tyron Woodley in that title bout. So his career has been up and down, but he's come back, got a win, and he's fighting a very strong and very like Matt Brown, who's looked okay. He's 2-3 or 2-1 in his last 3 fights, 2 wins, 1 loss. Before that, three loss streak that he had against Thomas Cerrone, Jake Ellenberger, and Damian Maia. But he beat Diego Sanchez in 2017, beat Ben Saunders in 2019, of course, came back against Miguel Bieza and lost to a left hook. So this one, you're probably not expecting to go the distance. These two, both are coming towards the end of their careers, 40 and 36. So Carlos Condit probably has a little bit more in the tank, you could say. But again, both of these are definitely coming towards the end, and it'll be interesting to see what they do. But get your comments down below. So I'll get your predictions in. Max Holloway or Calvin Kattar, are you backing today? And of course, let's have a look at to return to Max Holloway and Calvin Kattar, the main event here. Looking at their last 5 fights, as we mentioned, you see a quite contrasting difference between those 2 last 5 fights between these 2 competitors. Danny Ige, Jeremy Stevens on the winning side for Calvin Kattar, and he put Ricardo Lamas and Chris Fishgold in that as well, but obviously lost to Zabit Magomedsharipov. And what's quite, if he had 5-10 minutes extra, he probably would have won that fight nonetheless. And obviously, Max Holloway is having the toughest period of his career, you could say. He lost his belt. His personal life seems to be very happy at the moment. He seems to be in a good place, and I think that's the most important part. But he needs to maybe bring that back into the octagon and get back into the win column, because once you start hitting those 3, 4, 5 loss streaks, people start to turn on you pretty quickly. And he is one of the legends of the game. He's probably is the greatest featherweight that the UFC's seen, having beaten Jose Aldo twice. Jose Aldo, of course, gets it for the longevity. And obviously McGregor is in there somewhere, but the fact that he didn't defend his title, it probably puts him down at third, for me at least. And Alex Volkanovski, made a successful defense of this title, no matter how you want to see it. So, maybe it's more successful featherweight, you could say, than McGregor, but that would be taking the mick, because obviously McGregor's got a fantastic resume on his side as well, and he came into the game so young and absolutely broke it. And I'm going to be buzzing to see him back next week as well. But yes, also on this card, the probably breakout star of 2020, Jacqueline Buckley, of course, coming in after that fantastic knockout against Impa Kasanganay, of course, then beat Jordan Wright via a hook, of course. So 2 successive finishes after making his debut against Kevin Holland, who was many people's picks for fight of the year, of course, or fighter of the year, should I say. And he's looked decent, he's been impressive. I was impressed by him with Kevin Holland. Of course, there was in that UFC Apex in the empty octagon, and those two were talking at each other non-stop, and it was quite funny to see that. It'd be interesting to see what we can hear tonight with 2,000 fans in the arena. Obviously, it'll be spread out, of course, so it's not going to be all noise from one end, but it's going to be interesting to see how the fans are tonight for the first time since March, or a UFC event at least. Bellator, of course, had fans in Paris back in October. But yes, he is up against Alessi Di Chirico, of course, from Italy, of course, who's on a 12-5 record. He's not had the best of times recently, on a 3-fight loss streak, of course. Lost to Kevin Holland at the start of that, and then Makhmud Muradov, and then Zach Cummins, he lost to decision back in August. But yes, this is going to be a fantastic fight. This could have Fight of the Night written all over it, to be honest. But, it's going to be interesting to see what those two do in the cage. We'll take a quick look at their tape. 12-3 versus 12-5, 5'10 versus 6'3. You wouldn't realise Jack McDuffie's 5'10. He looks a monster, don't he? Especially at 185-pound division. 76-inch reach for Buckley's 2 inches advantaged of Di Chirico, of course, and then the leg reach of Di Chirico is quite enormous, 5-inch reach leg reach advantage there for him over Buckley. So it's going to be interesting to see what these two do. Obviously, Italy had a fantastic year with Marvin Vettori breaking out into that top 5. Cage Warriors had a fantastic showing for the Italians as well at the back end of the year. So it'd be interesting to see whether he can get back into the winning ways. But I do think Buckley will probably get the win tonight, of course. And he's probably going to be looking to get into those rankings this year as well, because he's looked phenomenal since coming from over there, from LFA, I believe, at least. And yeah, he was the other LFA champion, I believe, as well, weren't he? Pardon me if I got that wrong, but no, he's looked phenomenal at least. And we will finish it off on the return of Santiago Ponzinibbio, of course. The guy has had a horrid couple of years. If you watch Layla Renali's top 5 reasons to watch, she detailed all the injuries and sort of postponements that Santiago has had in the last couple of years. But he's back tonight up against Zhang Li. Pardon me if I butchered that name, of course. But he's on a tremendous run. 7-fight win streak. He's beat Neil Magny, knocked out Mike Perry, or went to decision with Mike Perry, knocked out Neil Magny, of course, Big Gunnar Nelson, Nordin Taleb, Zach Cummins and Court McGee, and Andrea Stahi before that. So he's on a phenomenal run, and should he keep that tonight, there's many people asking him to take the spot for Leon Edwards, I believe, and create that fight, because obviously Hamza Chimaev couldn't. He got injured, didn't he? So he couldn't fight, and that fight's now going to take place in March. I do feel sorry for Leon Edwards. Almost a year and a half. Well, it will be a year and a half out of the cage. Almost 2 years since he beat RDA. But yes, focusing on tonight, Santiago Ponzinibbio. But Lee, if he gets a win tonight, 17-6, that's a phenomenal win on his record. They're a very highly ranked competitor in Santiago. Ponzinibbio is he's certainly top 10. I think he's in the 8th or 9th spot, isn't he, in the welterweight division? I don't know, he's been taken out of rankings, but he was ranked previously, whether that's because of the injury and the timeout he's had. But, he's a top 10 competitor nonetheless. He's beaten Neil Magny in 9. And so he should be above there, that top 7, top 8 Michael Kisser versus Magny takes place in the main event on Wednesday. We will be covering that, of course. But let's take a look at the tail of the table, of course. 28-3 versus 17-6. Both 6'3", both made in that 170-pound division, of course. Inch and a half reach advantage there for Santiago Ponzinibbio, and an identical leg reach as well. So this one, again, this is a fight of the night competitor, I think. It'd be interesting to see how Santiago comes back, if there's any octagon rust on him, because he has taken a year and a half out of cage. Actually, no, over 2 years now. Last that was in 2018, so 2 years and a couple months here and there. But yes, it'd be interesting to see how he looks. He's going to be buzzing to get back in there. There's probably going to be a lot of anger, a lot of rage in him because he's not been able to compete. He's had fights, against Robbie Lawler and Muslim Salikov, both cancelled in 2019 and January this year. Well, actually, no, he was meant to be fighting. Oh, yeah, today, of course, his opponent pulled out, and obviously Lee has stepped in on short notice. But yes, a banging card to kick the night off. Let us know your comments, your predictions in the comments below. We will probably be back for our watch along for this one, but we will take a break for the prelims, of course. So make sure to hit that subscribe button. Make sure to drop a like. If you're over on Twitch, make sure to hit that follow button as well. We're going to start doing Twitch videos a lot more. There'll be gaming videos on here, of course, hopefully in the near future. So yes, if you're on the CageChat MMA Twitch, hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button too if you wish as well. And we will be back for the watch along later on this evening. But yes, thanks for watching, and I will see you in about 2-3 hours.